Indeed, a rare honor for the Institute and for all of us whose presence is already an inspiration on its own. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to present you National Scientist Dr. Dolores A. Ramirez.
Thank you. Greetings, Mr. Secretary, our guests, the very active director of PTRI. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. May I first thank you, the PTRI, for this honor and privilege to be with, with your guests, officers and staff of PTRI, to celebrate the opening of the Philippines Textile Congress of 2023. May I also congratulate PTRI for holding this weeks-long 2023 Philippine Textile Congress. The choice of the theme, Futures Thinking for Philippine Textiles, only highlights the goal of PTRI to continue to be useful and a relevant component of the research, development, and innovation activities that will allow for the flourishing of the textile industry in our country. The Innovation Dialogues and Research Colloquium agenda also showcase your ongoing and future activities and directions you wish to pursue. But it also, and probably most importantly, emphasize the wide latitude covered by the textile industry. I must confess, and probably I'm not alone, among those whose appreciation of this industry is very limited and narrow. It was only upon examination of the topics to be covered by the dialogues and the colloquium that I realized the latitude in the sciences, both natural and physical and social sciences, that the industry requires for it to progress. Because indeed, advances in the sciences, in the different disciplines, shall be the engines that will propel this industry's progress. On top of these science disciplines, the textile industry also requires a huge dose of the arts. In our, especially, as always, textile is always associated with fashion, and fashion is only one of the expressions of our arts. This industry do require a large dose of this, and this it can be traced as far back as the civilizations of our indigenous ancestry. The textile industry do require a happy marriage between arts and sciences, then collaborated by business, which eventually has become part of the benchmarks of our own Filipino brand and culture. Of course, we cannot claim much work about synthetic fibers. We probably had done very little, if any. But I am very certain that the same cannot be said about natural fibers, whether they are or of plant or animal origin. I am certain that our scientific and cultural contributions to the development of and improvement of natural fibers are substantial, especially among the species endemic to the Philippines, as well as those species that has been acclimatized and are widely exploited for textiles and for other uses. Offhand, what comes to mind are abaca, pineapple, cotton, and silk. There are, of course, many others, including jute or saluyot, roselle, bamboo, to mention a few. I do pay a particular attention to abaca because it is endemic to the Philippines. The Philippines is the center of origin, the center of diversity of abaca. In addition, there is a Commonwealth or Republic Act that was passed in the 1930s, which has not been amended nor repealed, that prohibits the exportation of planting materials, whether they are suckers or tissues, of abaca and saba bananas. Keep that in mind. What we export are fibers or textiles, and this cannot be propagated. This means only us have the right to exploit all the possible uses of this species. This also means only us can benefit from whatever products and byproducts that are derived from them. With this monopoly that we enjoy, is it not desirable that we take a close look at how we are exploiting our advantage? I know there are already a lot of products and byproducts of abaca and other plant parts that are in the market, and maybe a lot more in the early and pre-commercialization stages. But don't you think there can be a lot more that can be made or invented? It looks like that only our own creativity will be the limit. Given that us Filipinos have gotten a fair share on creativity, would that be asking too much? Please keep in mind that the major export for abaca is only for cold days. Why don't we export many of the other products? I talked about our monopoly of abaca, but some of you must know that there are also other countries that supply at least about 20% of the abaca fibers in the world market. Our share is about 80%. The abaca varieties in those countries all came from the Philippines way back in the late 1920s. They were brought to those countries, specifically to the tropical South American countries like Costa Rica. And these were brought by abaca farmers. Many of them were Japanese. They were forced to migrate to those South American countries because then there was a very serious epidemic of abaca mosaic that wiped out large tracts of abaca farms. And therefore, as a way of, they immigrated, most of the Japanese abaca farmers immigrated to Costa Rica and the nearby countries, and they bring this they brought this as their means of livelihood. So, and their choice of the tropical South American countries was because they are of the same latitude as the Philippines. They have been trying to improve abaca in those countries, and they are not able to do so. Not because there was no effort, because there was a very limited genetic diversity, and therefore they cannot improve much. But we have a lot of diversity of abaca in the country. So we have that resource. And I believe we have the talent to do it. Therefore, as I said, let us take advantage, or let us make the most out of our advantage. Should there be other abaca you hear, or if you would be hearing of abaca being grown in other countries than the tropical South American countries, you can safely conclude they were obtained through illegal channels. While I am pitching for abaca, I am equally excited about the other fiber sources that are available in the country, especially those species that are quite abundant in the country, or those species that are relatively easy and less costly to cultivate. For example, I find PTRIs championing the use of bamboo as textile source very exciting and most promising. We normally think of bamboo as construction materials, never as barong or gowns. And here you have it. I had the opportunity to visit with some of the PTRI officials, including the young and energetic and handsome executive director a few weeks ago, and I was shown some of the many projects that they are involved in. It was overwhelming and, of course, very impressive to see the wide array of sources of natural fibers and dyes that are being studied by a contingent of a relatively young researchers. I would venture an average age of about 35. Very young group, very enthusiastic. I was so glad to hear and to learn, and probably to a little bit envious, about PTRI's project involving communities in the processing of bamboo for textile production using the technologies that were innovated by PTRI. Way to go, PTRI. My impression is that their contributions to the incomes of these family members of the community has been on the rise, and that more communities are quite eager to follow suit. So you better watch out, Director Julius, baka gawin ka nilang barangay captain or even mayor. And Mr. Secretary, you probably have to hold on to him a little tighter. Promotion yun. Seriously, modules like this needs to be created, improved towards the higher levels, implemented in as many communities as possible, hence attaining a desired volume. I have yet to see hundreds of yards of bamboo textiles, yes. one can never go wrong in helping improve the livelihood of as many families as possible. Eventually, it is going to be good for all of us. The PTRI has a unique, although an enviable role in our country's commerce. Textiles are largely imported. The fact that PTRI's mandate covers the whole range of the value chain, from identification and production of textile materials, to processing, to final products, to fashion, and their specific uses, only highlights this reality. So you really, at this point, have to think about recycling and even waste management. Definitely, the happy collaboration of the sciences and the arts with business or commerce from start to finish would be the best formula for the success of the textile industry. And I believe PTRI, to a very large extent, has established that already for special types of textiles. I also believe that you are in the process of finding the proper niches for your special products. If I may suggest, you should probably set your eyes beyond our shores to facilitate the global appreciation of the brand Philippines. But what shall we do with the non-special textile types? Maybe I leave that to you. So, again, may I thank PTRI for this invitation. As always, I will cherish this honor and privilege to be with you today. Thank you very much and good day.
Thank you, Dr. Dolores A. Ramirez. Before you leave the stage, may I invite once again, Secretary Rene Solidum Jr., Director Julius Eliana Jr., Assistant Secretary Diana Ignacio, and also Director Romelyn Tres Valles from DOST-NCR to present the Certificate of Appreciation and the Token of Appreciation.
The Department of Science and Technology, Philippine Textile Research Institute awards a Certificate of Appreciation to the National Scientist, Dr. Dolores Ramirez, for sharing her time, valuable knowledge, and insights in her inspirational message during the opening ceremony of the 2023 Philippine Textile Congress. Dr. Ramirez is also presented with the same token of appreciation from the DOST-PTRI.